knew that something to that effect was in the Bible, that God will come to a place where He is judging indeed the secrets of man, because we among ourselves, we can have our secrets. We can have our secret societies, our secret codes, our secret motivations. We can have our biases, and we can have our prejudices, even. And we can have things we hate, we can have things we love, we can have our codes that we use, we can have our innuendo, our impressions, our implications. And I was asking the Lord last night when I was in a state of rest, when I was resting, actually, if it was not the night, last night, maybe the night before, Lord, is it, or have you been delegated, relegated to the ignorant God of the Jews, the ignorant, ancient, irrelevant, ineffective God of the Jews that has become a political tool, even of the church, that is very disrespectful? Because, and in a way, you allow this to continue because that is what every tester does before they pass about the consequence. For some, the consequence could be a spanking, like in the old day, especially if mom was teacher or dad was teacher or aunt or uncle was teacher. For others, the consequence would be, well, you have garnered, you have warranted, you have earned yourself an F. You've completely failed the test, or perhaps you have to sit and take the test yet again, or stay after school and take the test again, or do chores in addition to the test because your mark was so poor. And in order to bring your grade up, you have to do something for the class. You have to earn some marks of participation, for example, passing out papers, ordering papers, helping the teacher grade assignments. And in that case, a kindness is extended, but it is still a punishment. It is still a demerit. It is not filling you completely out of it, but you have a chance of some redemption because you were found to be wanting. You did not study, you did not pass, but yet you are able to do these tasks in order to stay, and then your repentant behavior has now become approved. But is America and some of the world, because it's not just America, but in some of the world, has God become, and I honestly, I won't notice I'm not declaring it. I am very direct. I have not declared it yet. I hope I never do. But has He become the irrelevant God that is the tool? He is the tool on a perhaps maybe even on a subconscious level, because people are so disrespectful. He is now relegated. You are something that I pull out and use for my purpose. Now understand, it is the other way around. There is no, and perhaps maybe that is why we achieve the and we achieve the status that we achieve in all contexts of society right now in the United States, because that is not reality. The reality is that the God of heaven fashions and makes us fit for His use. We don't fashion and make Him fit for our use. And if we move like that, we're moving outside of the realm and state of reality. And now we're living in a false reality. And anything that may seem like an improvement, like things are working for me, I'm getting this, I'm getting that, I have favor of God, I have the favor of man, I have a good job, I have a good wife, I have a good husband, and all those things might be true, especially in certain cases. But nonetheless, I still pose this question to the Lord, because it looked like, at least in certain cases, that is what has become. And I was mindful as I was talking to the Lord in spirit and asking of Him Lord, is this what you've become on a subconscious level to the people, to many people in America, and to even those who profess to be your church? You are the vessel fit for their use. They decide whatever their agenda is, whatever their desire is of the day, of the week, of the year. And you are to be fit and fashion yourself and fall into a posture of humility and ensure that they achieve that. And if you don't, well, well, you will be further demoted as you have been, as now every voice is more important than yours. The voice of the person they're dating, the voice of their adult son or daughter that says, that is silly. And that voice of the son or daughter has more weight, is more weighty to that individual than your voice. Or the preacher who says something and the Bible says something completely different, like, no, two men cannot marry, or two women cannot marry. And you see that written plainly in the Bible, but then you're like, and the reason perhaps why, and I don't know, the Lord has not told me this. This is not prophecy. The reason perhaps why God has fallen to the ignorant God, that everyone behaves in such a way that no good daughter would ever treat her father the way many Americans, and including many American Christians treat God. She would never. Not like the I heard of a preacher yesterday. I was listening to a preacher, and he was talking about CERN, and there's a huge idol, if I'm remembering correctly. I don't want to misquote him, but I think he referred to a huge idol being in front of CERN, and I was wondering, would Americans protest a giant idol? It's one thing if it's in someone's house. It's still wrong, but that's their house. But would Americans protest a giant alien idol from hell being put outside a major tech industry on American soil? Just a giant, like 5, 10 feet tall, possibly bigger. Would Christian America oppose that? And I don't know, because if God has failed in that he has not given us Venezuela, as fast as he was supposed to, and he has not favored Trump, Mr. President Trump, as much as he should have, and if God has not healed and restored the American economy as much as we need more money, and we should have it much faster. And if God has certain qualifications and certain benchmarks that he must meet in the eyes of his church in America, and he indeed fails to meet them, then perhaps no one will come out and say it, for at least that would be courage. But maybe, just maybe, allowing things like a huge giant idol to be erected on American soil, when all of America knows that we're mostly a Christian nation, and we do shun, if I dare say so, we do shun obviously demonic things being grotesquely huge and in your face. That is one of the only things we ask. If you want to serve the devil in your home, in private, but to make a public display of a strange idol with, I think, many arms, many legs, and it just freaks people out. It's just too much because it is indecent, because most of us are Christian. But if we fail to do that, I wonder if it's because of how subconsciously, and I started this saying, God is judging the secrets. So subconsciously, it's not that we failed him. Maybe subconsciously, it's because he has failed us and he has not adequately served the purpose which we use him for. And that was problematic to me. Now, what does that have to do with Turning Point? Then it went into the latter days, okay? And I was thinking, wow, the enemy loves to mimic what God does. And but he doesn't ever truly mimic it, because then he'd be glorifying God. And he's not going to do that. So, in order to mimic it but mock it at the same time, he must pervert it, change it. He must break it. He must break it in some kind of way. He must make it inappropriate, ineffective in the way that God intended it. So it's a mere a shell of what God had originally made, to both mock and replace with something that has a semblance of God but lacks the integrity of the actual genuine article. And this made me think of the entity of Turning Point. Now, once again, to please God, to stay with godly integrity, because this is not a prophecy.